Hi, my name is James Kirkland, and today I'm going to inform you all on Voice over Internet Protocol, what it is, how it works, and a few benefits of using the systems. As a basis, Voice over Internet Protocol, or VoIP for short, is a means of communication just like a landline phone. Um, it's carried out over an internet connection versus a traditional phone line. To begin, I'll go into the history of voice over IP just to give a little background and see where the technology started from. Voice over IP was first developed in 1973 by ARPANET, or Advanced Research Projects Network. Um, the basis for what we know as the internet came from this TCP, IP protocols, that sort of thing. That was the basis, and it was an experimental technology at the time. And then Years later, in 1995, a company called Vocaltech, they developed the first market-ready internet phone for consumers. So they got the first start as far as the consumer technology goes. In 2000, voice over IP accounted for about 3% of all telecommunications calls in the US. So a humble beginning, a very small start, 3% of calls in the US is not very much at all. By 2004, they made their first mass market push, offering discounts and flat rate long distance calls to customers to try and get them in and to kind of bring them into using their technology. Some benefits that they offered at the time were mainly cost. At that time, as slow as the internet speeds were, the call quality wasn't that great, and the latency or speed at which the communication was transmitted was not that great as well. But over time, as we got faster internet speeds like we do today, the call quality greatly improved, and other features were added. Some other applications that were developed as the internet speeds improved were file transfer, and then video chat, which was a big one. An early example of the video chat capabilities would be Skype from Microsoft. You're all probably very familiar with Skype, using the internet to video chat with another person via a computer and an internet connection. All right, so you're probably wondering what a voice over IP system looks like and how it's different from a traditional landline at this point. So we'll begin to talk about that. But first, I have a quote from Cisco, and according to Cisco Systems Incorporated, which is a leading multinational conglomerate, they've worked a lot with networking. Once you understand how voice over IP works, you can more easily use technology to your company's advantage. So we're going to go into how it works and get a better idea of that. Firstly, voice over IP works mostly just like a traditional landline, in that you have the same hardware, with exception to a few other features, like probably have a LED screen on your voice over IP phone versus maybe just a little black and white digital screen for your call information. You actually have a full color screen to allow for video calls and things like that, a little bit more access to your call data. You probably have a camera in the phone as well, again, for the video chat capabilities. But other than that, the phone, the dock, the dial pad, everything's going to be the same. Now, as far as the connection, you're going to be using an Ethernet cable instead of a phone line, because we're calling over the internet instead of a traditional phone line. So the cable goes through your house outside, that's connected to the phone poles. That's not a factor in voice over IP. We're working through your internet connection, your network. Next, I'm going to talk about how voice over IP works. So instead of like a landline, sending your phone call or your voice over a phone line using electricity. Voice over IP is translating your voice into digital packets of data that are sent over the internet to your recipient through a router. So that's the main difference as far as how the calls are made with voice over IP. Next, same thing for video chat. We're still using internet for the call connections. We just have expanded capabilities because we are using the internet. So now we can make video calls and receive video calls as well. But other than that, again, everything else works similarly or exactly like a landline phone. So in 2019, Digium, a subsidiary of Sangoma Technologies, they're one of the world's largest suppliers of open source communications solutions. They wrote, using a VoIP service, you can call landline or cell phones. You can also call computer to computer with both parties speaking into a microphone and listening to audio through a speaker or headset. So they kind of summed it up as far as, again, it looks and works just like a traditional landline phone, just the means of the data transfer that's different with the system. So finally, I'll talk about a few of the benefits from voice over IP. Main benefit that you're going to see using a system like this is the cost. So instead of paying separately for a phone bill or phone plan, maybe by call or distance or however your phone company handles it, this is charged as more data used in your internet plan. So whether you have unlimited data or you have a data cap such as 10 gigabytes of data used per month, the phone calls you make are just more data used. So depending on, again, whether it's an unlimited plan or a data cap, there's no extra cost associated with using a voice over IP system as you're using the internet. You're not paying for a phone service at all. So you save a lot of money this way, even with the data usage. You're saving money over a traditional landline phone plan. Another benefit of this is the distance. You can call anywhere in the world, anyone in the world. Again, no extra charge. With traditional phone companies, you're looking at extra fees, as much as $1 a minute or more for international calls. So that's not something you have to worry about with voice over IP because we're using the internet to call instead of a landline or a network tower. Video capability is a big benefit of voice over IP. You can't video chat over a landline, and that's pretty obvious, but that's a pretty cool feature to have right on your phone. Traditional landline phones, if you're sitting at a desk or something like that, or you're in an office job or you're in a corporate job and you use video chat often, having a voice over IP system is going to be a big benefit. As far as the simplicity in use, you already know how to use a phone. You're just adding a screen and a camera to that, so it's not much more difficult than using a traditional phone. At the same time, you don't have to install any additional software or pay for any additional software like you would on a computer, which may be complicated for some people who aren't as tech savvy. So I think definitely going with the voice over IP system is a big plus. And lastly, better quality. Better call quality is definitely a big benefit of using voice over IP. The internet connection, you're not losing any data, you're not losing any call quality versus an electric signal, which is going to lose call quality at some point. So there's just better speed and quality associated with using the internet to make phone calls versus a landline. In an article from June 4th, 2017, from Huffington Post titled, "Why You Should Be Using Voice over IP for Your Business," AJ Agrawal writes, "Through being able to visualize your data in real time, what is working and what is not becomes obvious." So again, using that voice over internet protocol service is going to allow you to make better use of your time, your money spent, as far as using a traditional landline, things like that. So what have we learned about voice over IP so far? Well, in conclusion, we've learned that VoIP is a simple and effective means of telecommunications that looks and works just like a traditional landline phone, with the exception of using internet as a means to communicate versus a electrical signal over a landline. We know that its benefits are largely cost, as well as quality and range, with the ability to make long distance calls, or calls anywhere in the world, at no additional charge, with your internet bill. So yeah, after today's presentation, I hope you guys are a little bit more informed about voice over IP and